Hello friends, and welcome to this mini masterclass. My name is Tash and I am so excited to get through this with you. Today we're going to be talking about the anxious avoidant loop. And if you keep finding yourself in these dynamics where you feel like you're constantly chasing to try and get somebody to be a certain way so that you can finally have that relationship that you've always wanted, then you are in the right place. So just a little bit of background on myself before we get into it. My name is Natasha. I am a former fearful avoidant. So I was on the other side of things for a very long time. And I started sharing my experiences as a fearful avoidant, what was going on in my brain. And I essentially amassed a large following of people who were in relationships with people like me. So everyone wanted to know, how do I show up in a relationship with a fearful avoidant or with an avoidant in a way that's going to help them feel safe so that we can finally get through this push-pull nonsense and be happy as a couple? It's really interesting because there's a couple of factors, actually many more than a couple of factors at play here. The truth is that these dynamics are really, really painful and really intense, not just because. There's a very real reason why they are so intense, and that is because these relationships are mirrors. They are triggering the deepest wounds that are in the depths of your soul and their soul. And so when these wounds come to the surface and they interact with one another, what we get is like these really intense dynamics where it's not just little fights, it's not just little pains. Like, we're talking not life or death, but it's really freaking painful. And people want answers. People want relief. So that's why I'm here. Okay. Today, we're going to be going through about 15-20 minutes here and begin understanding the dynamics that are truly at play and what's being asked for you, not for you, but what's being asked from you as the partner of this person, and what part of you is being called forward so that you can kind of recognize that perhaps it's not always about changing the avoidant person. Maybe it's about recognizing what the avoidant person is bringing up in you. Okay? So we're going to start from the top here. First things first, let me get my little notebook. Guys, I'm so excited about this. This is my first masterclass ever. I've been doing this for about 2 years now. I love my one-on-one calls. I love making videos, but to be able to take everything I've ever taught and put it into one teachable place is kind of nerve-wracking. I'm not gonna lie, I'm like sweating from my upper lip because there's something about being seen in this way that's exhilarating. So before I start, I just wanna say thank you guys for being here with me. It means the world. So we have the attachment cycle. Starting from the top, why are these relationships so freaking painful? Okay, there's a good chance that growing up, something might have happened along the way that made you feel like you were not good enough, not lovable, abandonable. And so what ends up happening when these wounds occur is that we develop parts deep inside that are hurt, of course. When we're young, we're super vulnerable. All we need is to be loved, to be seen, to be understood. And when we don't get that to the capacity that we need, it's very jarring to our nervous system. So what happens is you develop this part deep inside that's terrified of that wound happening again. We do not want to get abandoned. We do not want to be hurt, right? And as we grow older, we carry this wound with us, but we don't always recognize that this wound is operating in the background. As a matter of fact, the wound kind of like really blends into the subconscious and it operates in the background for us, keeping us safe, but we don't really have any idea that it's doing that. It kind of just feels like, no, this is who I am, this is how I feel, right? So what ends up happening is we're moving through life, la, 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 and this wound is kind of like living in the background, okay? And what it does is there's one of two things, okay? Either you are going to attract unavailable people because that wound is going to want to recreate the dynamic of your past, and it's going to want to convince this new person that you are lovable. And When you successfully convince an unavailable person to love you, you will finally believe that you are good enough. That's option number one. Option number two is that you're going to meet a really cool person, and one day they're not going to answer you as quick as you'd like. And you're going to perceive life through the lens of that pain, through that lens of that wound, and you're going to think to yourself, oh my God, it's happening again, red alert. And so what happens is, instead of seeing it as, some people take time or whatever, you will react to it as though that wound is happening again. And in reacting to it in that way, what you end up doing is you attract the thing that you fear most. So this is how we propel the dynamic forward. When we begin acting on those wounds and putting them out into the real world and creating that, people may look at that and be like, oh my gosh, this is too much, I gotta get away. And then what does it do? It confirms the initial belief that people always leave, right? But when we see it that way, we remain in the seat of unconsciousness. We are victims. Like, life is happening to me. Yet again, I got left. Yet again, I'm in this predicament. Why does this keep happening to me? Instead of recognizing that you have a wound that is either making you choose the wrong people and trying to convince them to be the right one, or you're pushing people away with your actions. But the beauty of it is you're pushing people away. They're not running away from you screaming because there's something fundamentally wrong with you. Quite the contrary. You are whole, you are beautiful, you are incredible. But if you have a wound that believes otherwise, you may believe that it is your unworthiness that is pushing them away, which only solidifies that narrative and keeps you spinning in a feeling of victimhood and sadness and pain. And that is why when the avoidant person comes along and pokes into that wound, it is so darn painful, because this is the biggest wound of all time. It hurts so bad. But this is the beauty, okay? The avoidant person is a mirror. They are either showing you where you are chasing unavailability or where you are pushing people away. And they become the mirror through which you can now meet those pains, because trust me, I understand you when I say you're feeling them all the time. You are triggered often, and you have, every single time you get triggered is a new opportunity for you to be like, okay, what's actually going on here? The issue is that most people get those triggers, right? And you're like, oh my God, this is so painful. And we will immediately blame your fault, right? Which only propels this dynamic forward, because when you blame, you're not taking accountability that you are the master creator of your life. You're basically saying, because of the way that you are, I'm feeling like shit, so it's your fault. I don't have any say in this. I am a victim. But you're not a victim. That's the thing. You're never a victim. You create everything. We just have to go in there and pinpoint what are the wounds that are driving the show, so that you can finally reclaim your power and recognize that you are the co-creator of your life. And when you do that, you're able then to see everything clearly, because you develop a sense of self-trust that was probably lost at some point. When we have these wounds running the show, we become ultra reactive, and it becomes very difficult to decipher, is this fear or is this intuition? I have no freaking clue. It's a feeling in my body and I'm reacting to it, but which one is it? And when you don't have the ability to discern between the two, it severs your self-trust. You don't know what to follow. And when you're in cycles of reactivity, you're at the mercy of your wounds. You're not driving your own ship. You're basically being taken over by another entity, which is your wounds, and they are deciding for you. And unfortunately, when your wounds decide, all they're doing is replaying your past on a loop over and over and over again. And that's why it sucks so bad, because sometimes the past wasn't fun. So, wow, that was a fun tangent. I love this stuff. Honestly, it's so freaking cool. The reason I love it so much and why I'm so passionate about this is because I was at the mercy of my own wounds for 30 years. And the moment I realized that I create my life and that these are subconscious beliefs and fears and wounds that are driving the show, I was like, oh my gosh, that means that if I go in and spend time with myself and heal those parts, I can then take control of my life again because I am in control. And that whole shift was the shift that changed my life. It's when I became the creator of my life. And it's so freaking powerful that I'm passionate about sharing this with you guys. And the truth is that it really is the human condition to be driven by wounds, by fear, because at the end of the day, our body is wired to survive. Your nervous system wants to keep you safe at all costs because it is wired for that. We are animals. So we all have the tendency to be driven by these unconscious fears. The problem is that when you're driven by unconscious fears is you're not creating the best possible life for yourself because you're in survival, or you're playing it small, or you're pushing love away, or you're, XYZ. And when you're doing that, and so long as you're doing that, you're not following your highest joy, your highest excitement. You are not feeling powerful and aligned and all of those beautiful things. And so it's really, really important for me to give you guys the pathway, the blueprint to coming back to yourself and to understanding that everything is here. You're always, always in control. And it's really about listening to the inner parts, hearing their wounds, and building that relationship back up with yourself so that ultimately you can trust yourself again. Okay? Yeah. So the last little part here that I'll go over is the missing link, self-abandonment. So every time you seek to get somebody else to be a certain way so that you can feel good, so either chasing somebody unavailable, wanting them to finally do the right thing so that you can be happy, what you're doing in that moment is you are putting yourself to the side for somebody else, trying to morph to be what that other person needs, trying to put your happiness to the side to accept the crumbs, for example. And when you do things like that, all you're doing is basically putting yourself to the side to chase love that is outside of yourself, which is the very cycle or the very wound that started this whole thing in the first place. If you've ever had to put yourself to the side to get the love of a parent or the appreciation of a parent or the acceptance of a parent, that's what that is. It's like, okay, as children we learn, okay, if I put myself to the side, then I won't get in trouble, or then I'll be accepted, or then I'll get praised. We slowly learn to throw ourselves in the garbage because we need that love to survive as children. But as we grow older, we don't grow out of that unless we consciously make an effort. And what ends up happening is we begin throwing ourselves in the garbage so that someone else can choose us, so that somebody else can love us. And we just continue to perpetuate that self-abandonment over and over and over again. So if this resonates with you and you really feel like I'm speaking straight to your soul, that means that there's something here for you. Okay, so I'm going to be going into all of this in an hour-long masterclass, all of the nervous system work, where this comes from, the ways to meet all these wounded parts and build that relationship to those parts once and for all so that you can actually hear what's going on inside of you and decipher that's fear and no, that's actually my truth. And that you can start building the confidence to actually follow your truth instead of hearing it and then going, no, but I'd rather still get that love from the other person. You know, when you kind of shift. No, we're going to build up that self-confidence so that you can hear your truth clearly and act on it. Because loving yourself will come first and foremost. It's the most beautiful thing in the world. And as a bonus, what you'll realize is that when you are aligned in this way and you are acting from this place, you will either figure out that the partner that you're trying to make things work with is truly unavailable and it wasn't going to work anyways, or you stepping into your power will actually elicit a new response in your partner. Your partner who kind of seems to be pulling away from you because maybe you're coming from this anxious place may find that when you step into your power, it becomes so much easier to have a harmonious relationship as a team. So doing this work will give you every single one of the answers you've ever wanted. If you're into that, please sign up down below. I'm so excited to see you guys there. There are also a couple of resources that you'll see on the checkout page that you can add to that so that you can enhance your experience and have like a workbook. Everything was created from my heart to yours. These are the tools that have helped me transcend all of the pains that I've ever had and build that relationship to myself that makes it that moving through life feels good. I love you guys, and I will see you there.